Well, let me ask you about the speculation and allegations that have been hurled in recent days about biolabs and chemical weapons false flag plots. First, you had Victoria Nuland under questioning by Marco Rubio in the Senate last week, asked directly if Ukraine has chemical or biological weapons. She didn't give a direct answer. She did say that Ukraine has biological facilities and she's concerned about Russia, those facilities falling into Russian hands, which raises the obvious question that if they're benign, then why is she concerned about Russia possessing them? And then right after that, we started to get these allegations coming out from both the US and Russia that the other side is plotting false flag chemical attacks. I'm wondering what you make of all this.
Well, usually the winning side does not stage a false flag. And right now, the Russians are clearly winning on the battlefield. So I don't see any particular reason why they would stage a false flag. If anything, the Ukrainians might be interested as a last-ditch effort to drag us in. They could certainly turn to the use of biochemicals if they can weaponize them and use them effectively, or if they've already done so. They could simply fire a missile that is of Russian origin and design into Poland and claim the Russians have done it. That is a possibility. We should be on the alert for that sort of thing. I don't see the Russians doing that. They don't need it. If anything, the Russians just want to come to the table, get a signature on a ceasefire arrangement, and see their terms met. And as far as I can tell, the terms have not changed very much, and they're very straightforward. Number one, Ukraine will be neutral and non-aligned with any bloc. Number two, the Donbas region's de facto independence and Russian identity will be acknowledged by Kiev or Kyiv. And then finally, the Ukrainians will renounce any claim on Crimea, which, as we all know, this is an ahistorical claim. It's never been Ukrainian. Those have been the sort of standard three. Now, there are other things that they want to discuss, no doubt, and they want to be certain that future governments will not be incurably hostile to Moscow and host weapons and systems designed to destroy Russia on their soil. That's clear. But I think they go along with something on the model of the Austrian State Treaty. Clearly, Mr. Blinken, Victoria Nuland, and their cohorts, and I suspect Mr. Soros, who's also got his hand in this, are all stonewalling that till the last Ukrainian is dead, I guess. I hope not, but it certainly looks that way.
And on the chemical weapons allegations, do you see a parallel here to Syria, a sort of recycling of the Syria playbook where the U.S. accused Syria and their Russian ally of committing chemical attacks, Syria with Russia's support? That was the allegation. When meanwhile, as we know from the reporting of Seymour Hersh and also from OPCW leaks, that all the intelligence pointed to these chemical attacks either being carried out or staged by sectarian death squad rebels fighting the Syrian government.
Well, there's a lot of evidence for that. There's also, I'm told, some evidence for the involvement of MI6, which is a very effective organization and very adept at this sort of business in Syria. They may once again be involved. Who knows? I mean, we all have intelligence services. All intelligence services are involved in these conflicts in one way or another. So I think if you go to Ted Postel's work, who's very good on this, as well as to British sources, and you will confirm what you just outlined. You're asking me what I know, and unfortunately, I don't know too much. What I know is what is open source. And I'm prepared to believe any number of different possibilities. But I've said repeatedly, until someone gets in there who is not Ukrainian or Russian and looks at the evidence, we're probably not going to know with certainty what's really there. I found that in the Balkans, when we were dealing with the Serbs and so many things they were accused of turned out to be false, that the Finns were enormously helpful. The Finns would go in and they were the truth tellers. We really need some truth tellers like that. But for the moment, that's not going to happen. So the worst thing that could happen is a false flag. We have to be prepared for that. And again, that's where the president of the United States plays such a critical role. Unfortunately, Mr. Trump was deceived on both occasions because his inner circle kept pushing him to launch those missiles. And ultimately, we did. They went into the dirt. They accomplished nothing. By the way, the Russians accommodated it. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it went. But finally, in 2019, when Mr. Trump was ambushed by people in his own administration and the military in an attempt to bring on a war with Iran, after the shoot down of the Global Hawk that was deliberately flying a path that everyone knew would be engaged. He said no and ended that possibility, thank goodness. So I think it depends on the president and whomever is close to him to make the decision, no, we're not going to act, if that in fact occurs.